Hey, welcome in. I'm Rita, and this is the story I'm telling myself. If you've ever felt like you're standing in your own way, you are not alone. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the Story I'm Telling Myself podcast. I am so happy to have you all here with me. I am sad to say that we just lost our Facebook connection again. I don't know what's going on at Facebook. Hi, Gary Spencer from the UK. So happy to have you with us. You know how it goes when you get here. You say hello in the comments. So we are very happy to have you with us. And our guest today is my good friend that I met at the World Happiness Summit, Monica Evason. Monica, welcome. Thank you for saying yes to joining me on the show today.
It's a pleasure. Looking forward to our conversation.
Me as well. So I'm going to let you give a little intro to everyone. If you're here live, and please come in the comments. Welcome Monica to the show. But Monica, tell everybody a few things about you. What are 3 things you think they should know?
Okay, 3 things that they should know. Well, I've got a very English accent, but actually mum's Italian, dad's Dutch. 2, I am currently living in England, in Oxford, and it is pouring with rain, and all the roads to this village are blocked right now, and there is panic and pandemonium everywhere. And I left sunny Spain, where we lived for 12 years, to come to this horrible, with all this bad weather. And 3rd of all, for a living, I'm a leadership and communication skills coach. And you and I met from the work perspective because we're in that space in the leadership world. But I would say also we've both got this interest in the inner story, the inner critic. And I'm a storytelling coach. And what I've come to realize is that the most fascinating stories are not the ones that we tell, the external ones. They're the ones up here that have got.
Yes, they are. And we're actually going to share a little bit of our journey because they're intertwined. The story that you came to share today and our first meeting. I want to say hello to all of these wonderful people that are joining us from Barcelona. We have Gabby.
We can't see.
So glad to have you with us from the UK. We have Freya. We have Sonia from the UK. I think Sonia is the person that was showing up backstage that I didn't know you were, Sonia. I kept kicking you out of the meeting. And Gary again, who's also in the UK. And I told Gary about you, and he was a guest last season, and he's going to be my first repeat guest this season. So he'll be back on the show again in a few months. But I said, you and Monica, like you're going to have so much in common. So we met at the World Happiness.
You start then. Do we get to interact in the question and answer bit afterwards? Because I can't see people or see their comments, but you can you?
I can. I'll keep putting them up as they come. And yes, you can. And at any point, Monica, just pause and like you did and say hello, answer a question, whatever you want to do.
I'm so grateful to Freya, to Gabby, to Sonia, and Gary, and anyone else who's here, because it makes it more interactive, and knowing their little smiley faces are there is a good thing.
We have Venke from Toronto. We have
Ambra. Oh wow.
and Gabby are so your friends are here, and this is what makes it so much fun having friends in the comments. So thank you for joining us sincerely. We appreciate this.
Comments coming because we talk for 20, don't we? And then we get a chance for questions, but as questions go along, it would be great to hear them.
Yes. So we met in London a couple of years back when the World Happiness Summit was hosted there. And you were in a particularly dark space. And yet you said yes from Uruguay, Luciana, thank you for joining us. You said yes to yourself and to the World Happiness Summit. Let's start there for all of our listeners. Talk a little bit about the story you were telling yourself, the headspace you were in at that time.
Well, I think I know some of the people who are listening in and some I don't, but life is we can't always be happy. We're smiling. We're smiling right now. But there are times in our lives when we're not smiling. And I was going through a not very smiley phase because We'd moved back from Spain where it was sunny and gorgeous. It was difficult adjusting to living back in England, having had all those years in sunny Spain. And I was working really, really hard, and I burnt out. Burnout, you don't really, I think this is the thing we mix up, burnout and stress. And I was too stressed, and burning out, you don't really feel the same emotions. And when Susan Smalley phoned me and said, Monica, there is a World Happiness Summit going on, I thought I would rather poke sticks in my eyes than go to a World Happiness Summit for 2 whole days. I thought that sounded horrible. And
why? What was the story you had about what a World Happiness Summit must be like or be about that made you want to like poke yourself instead?
It's the word happiness. It's the word happiness. It just, at that time, I think a big thing that comes with burnout is cynicism. and that sort of negative talk. So the story in my head was, yuck, that sounds horrible. And this is going to sound really terrible, but us Brits, we've got a very different baseline of happiness to Americans. And we don't talk about this very much, but an American on a bad day would be a really happy day. For a Brit. So this idea of all these Americans flying in to London to go to 2-day summit on the state of the happiness of the world, to me just sounded like a horrible idea. But Susan was very persuasive. I went, and it was one of the best things I've ever done. And I'm still living off that. Well, you know, we met so many amazing people, didn't we, for those 2 days?
We did, yes. And we've stayed connected. I mean, we really formed a community, and which is a beautiful thing. Hey, Nick, I'm so glad that you are with us. Yes,
Hello.
we found this community of people who care about people actually thriving in the world.
Yes. Thriving and not just surviving. And I think after COVID, there's been a lot of compassion fatigue and burnout and sadness and loneliness, all of this not such good stuff. And what the World Happiness Summit does is it just says, well, what are we going to do about it? Let's not just stay down in the hole. Let's come out of the hole. Action for Happiness support team. Oh, Christy's here. So Christy so after that World Happiness Summit, I decided that I needed to do something, and that actually the word happiness gave me the ick, but the word kindness and hope and those kind of words, I could deal with those, and actually I could help myself and in turn try to find like-minded people. And Action for Happiness was one of the speakers at that event. Do you remember him? Richard.
I do. Yes.
Remember him? So I went straight online, I signed up, became a volunteer. And so Susan and I ran a course, and some of them are listening into the podcast today. And
well, funny quick story about Lord Richard is that I had seen him speak the year before when I was in Como.
Oh, right.
And then he came and sat right in front of me, like the seat right in front of me. And I was like, do I say something? I was just like, oh my God, it's Lord Richard Laird. Like, I mean, he is a big deal. He's a really economist. He's a really big deal. And, but he's such a down to earth person. But yeah, I had that moment of like, oh my God, who's sitting in front of me? So what we talk about, the reaction that you have, the ick that you have to the word happiness is the ick that so many people have to positivity in the US. This idea of toxic positivity. And I think that's the same thing with the idea of happiness, that you're just supposed to pretend your way into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's just all go around being fake. And especially when you're not feeling great, the word happiness just feels like this ginormous thing that you cannot reach. But what happened was, by doing this course, and it's a 6-week program, and anyone listening, I really recommend it. And those, Sonia and Christy, and have all done this course. And what you learn in it is that this is about, it's more kindness. It's more, when we're in our own world and we make our world so small, we forget there are other humans out there who need to hear the stories that life is not all happy and jolly and fantastic. And actually coming through struggle, coming through difficulty is a different form of happiness. Yeah, what does Nicole say? Happiness is a place inside each of us, no matter where we are geographically. Oh, yeah, it has no postcode. It doesn't have an age thing. It's different people.
And it is not something, it's not a feeling. I mean, this was the
No.
added layer piece that we got last year at the World Happiness Summer is you can't stop chasing happiness. If you are chasing happiness, you're chasing something that you will never achieve, because as Nick says, happiness has to live inside of you.
Yeah.
It is an inside out versus an outside in experience.
Yeah. Exactly. And so it's using other words. It's using, hello, Leslie. So for me, I could sit with this word kindness. I found gratitude, which I know is a really big part of the whole happiness thing. But when you're feeling a little bit down, gratitude feels really hard to grasp. I found. But when you say kindness, doing something for another person, that is brilliant. But what was interesting was when I ran the course a second time, we had a lot of people who were really cynical about kindness.
Ooh.
And that is interesting. So people would say, thing is about people doing kind things for other people, what's their motivation? Why are they doing that kind thing? And that got me down a whole path of, I think it's time for a kindness revolution. It's a kindness, because kindness should not be something we're cynical about. Because there is a little part of you that does something good for other people because you want to feel good too. What's wrong with that?
Right.
What's wrong with doing something for other people?
Well, Monica, I wrote a whole book about this. I mean, the whole premise of Show Up Positive is that you are not showing up in the world, and there are lots of acts that I would call kindness that we focus on in the book, to do something to, against, or for somebody else. It is about, what do I want the world around me? What do I want my experience in the world around me to be? And how can I start being that? And in being that, I'm going to impact other people, and they're going to reflect that back to me. And it all comes back to the same ideas that are part of the kindness practices.
Yeah.
Right. It's that same idea of if you start with, this is what I need. And so I'm going to smile at somebody today because I need people to smile back at me, or because I just need there to be more welcoming in the world. And so I'm going to demonstrate what that is like. There is a piece of this that is, at its heart and soul, it is very much about what's in it for you, but not at the expense of somebody else.
That's the big differentiator, not at the expense of someone else. And I think observing kindness acts can offer, I think it's not just doing the kind thing, it's receiving of the kind thing. And many of us find that really, really difficult, receiving a kind and acknowledging that what that person did for you was a kind thing. So one of the questions that's asked on this course was, what is a kind thing that someone else has done for you recently? And people really struggle with that question until they realized it isn't the big things, it's the little things.
Yes.
And you can find those. And going back to the title of your podcast, The Story I'm Telling Myself, when I went to that summit, the story was, I don't deserve to be happy. Because that's a story I've had going round and round in my head from a very young age. I don't deserve to be happy. I mean, what a cruel story to be telling yourself. That shift doesn't come from saying, but I do deserve to be happy. That's not good. But the shift is, I want to spread kindness in the world. I want people to realize that when we do kind things, it comes back tenfold, and then it's contagious. And so here in the village, for example, I was feeling very flat, very lonely, and I would go and visit a couple of elderly people in the village. And that was a lovely, kind thing to do. And now it's grown and grown. And now we have something called a warm hub. And the warm hub is in the village every other Friday morning, coffee and conversation for anyone who wants company. And we've now got this community. That's how it starts. It starts with a little thing and it just grows and grows. And every single person listening to this, what is that one thing that you could do? That's how you shift your story.
Well, and I love what you're saying about really examining the internal story behind when you have that ick feeling or that strong pushback
Pushing back,
rejection of
resistance.
something, like you can feel it in your body, in your soul, right? In your
Oh,
energy. You just feel the resistance. That is a signal to stop and ask yourself,
yeah,
what is the story behind this sensation
yeah,
I'm having right now? And for
yeah,
you to have this insight of, I don't deserve happiness. People will say that in a lot of different ways and for a lot of
yeah,
different reasons. It's the counter side of I'll be happy when stories that we tell
yes,
ourselves,
yes.
right?
And
So I
how
can't
many
be
are
happy
listening
because
now
I haven't
thinking
gotten to my win yet,
that? Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And but interestingly, the win is always moving. Again, we are in the chase of something.
yeah,
But what
exactly.
you said to yourself, the flip that you made is I want to be somebody who brings kindness
Yeah,
into the world around me. And so instead of saying, um, what the question I often ask, what do I want to experience? You ask the question in response to the story you were telling yourself. The story was, I'm not allowed to be happy, but you still said, but who do I want to be? Who do I want to be? This is
mm.
a very powerful question because once you understood who you wanted to be and you started being her,
Yeah,
your
I think it
story
was.
started to change, right?
Well, I think it's moving away from labels, isn't it? Instead of saying I am, I am, I am, it was more, what do I want to feel? And there is nothing more powerful than that warm and fuzzy feeling when you've either received or given something that is kind. Horses have
Yes.
huge hearts. Yes. As oh, if you've ever hugged a horse, which I've done, um, actually, Gabby, who's in this call, she also was at this retreat that we went to, and we were invited to hug a horse.
Right here is Gabby.
Yeah. Oh, here's Gabby, right on the number. Yes. When we can be kind to ourselves, it's easier to be kind to others. Yeah. And that was a missing piece, really, because when we get so in our own funnel vision, when I see someone who's being mean or negative, I see someone who can't, yeah, who can't love themselves. And I think that often happens. People who, if you're just in your own thoughts and you're in your own lane, and then you suddenly do look up and you just see that little moment of someone helping someone across the road, or like you said, going into a train and there's someone there and you just smile and it's just a fraction of a second. You don't need to be big things. Kindness isn't a big thing, but we've just got to open our eyes to see it, like Leslie, finding
Yeah,
it.
well, and Leslie is something that you're zeroing in on, Leslie, that Monica and I have talked about a lot is this idea of the vibration, the energy that you bring to
Yes.
things. And so it's true, kindness raises our vibration. These
Yeah.
we get a good hit, a positivity, a dopamine hit,
Yeah.
right? And so does the person that is receiving. And so you're generating this energy in this moment that has a multiplier effect.
Yeah. Yeah, completely. And so I think we're in a time right now where there is hopelessness and helplessness everywhere, and there's horrible things that go on. And we've stopped watching, many of us, I'm guilty, have stopped watching the news, which I know is a really bad thing, but it's because I can't cope with it. And then you realize in amongst all of that horribleness, there are these little glimmers of hope because it comes through those little smaller stories that we don't always get to hear. Those are the stories we need to listen to more.
So you walked into the World Happiness Summit with the ick.
Yeah.
You ended up on stage DJing, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
really having these beautiful moments of getting to allow little Monica inside of you to reemerge and shine.
Well, that story there, that was an act of kindness. That was one of the workshops there was Lego. So it was Lego play, and it was about serious play by the people at Deloitte who were running that workshop. And one of the people in that workshop found the contact details of the DJ, who's DJ Rob, who spreads music and the message that what's helped his mental health and his bipolar disorder has been being a DJ and music and what that's done for him. Anyhow, she contacted him on the night of the first day and said, someone in our workshop shared the story that when she was 16, what she most wanted to do in life was to be a DJ on Radio Solent. I wrote that letter to the radio station. And then when I got to the letterbox, I thought, no, everyone's going to laugh at me. That was a story I had, age 16. Everyone's going to laugh at me. I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And there it was in a letter. I could have got that, but I threw the letter away, never posted the letter. And I shared that story in this workshop. She took the story and contacted the DJ at the event at the World Happiness Summit. So the next day you were there when the DJ said, is there a Monica in the house? And I went, yes, me. Come on down. You get to be a DJ for 2 minutes. How joyous was that 2 minutes, Rita?
Oh, it was. Watching you light up was amazing. Yeah. And so this defying the resistance and listening to your friend and coming to the World Happiness Summit, you followed through on that. So then you went on to do the kindness work, and take us on from there. So from there, you've focused in your village, and you're talking about some things that are happening in your village. Yeah. So you've continued to unlock this story within yourself.
Yes.
And what's the story you tell yourself today?
There's a lot in those questions. So I think the world, walking into that summit and then how I walked out 2 days later, it was, oh my goodness, we do not understand happiness. It is not just this feeling. Happiness has 3 parts, which we learned from all the professors and all the world experts, because there is a science. We didn't realize there is a science behind happiness. So once you get under the skin of it and you realize it isn't just this feeling that comes and then goes, that's joy. And that's just one part of it. It's having purpose. And I realized at that time, my purpose was not clear. So I really worked on that. And then the other part of it is the satisfaction of overcoming struggle. And I think we live in a world right now where we're avoiding struggle. It's much easier to stay at home, work on a computer screen, watch Netflix, doom scroll, order food online, eat it at home. We can get into this slowly making our world smaller and smaller and smaller. And I think right now what the world actually needs is courage. And so the story I'm telling myself is find the courage. Find the courage. And I don't need to do it in a big, loud way. I can do it in the small, little, subtle ways. And I'm already starting to see that trickle effect, because courage is contagious. And every single person has got that one thing that they're holding back on, that they're thinking, I wished I did whatever it was they want to do, or I wish. And it's, instead of the shoulds, it's the right, this is what I'm going to do. And there's this brilliant.
So I want to tie us in at this point to the title of the episode, because one of the interesting things that you have come to understand about where you were in this moment of sort of burnout, is this messaging, this external messaging impacting you, because people would tell you were too much, that you needed to dial it back.
Dial it down. It's so loud. So loud.
And so share with people the story you share with me about really understanding that when you dial it too high or too low, and how that has taken you to where you are today.
Yeah, well, I think that's why that whole happiness summit is probably the pivotal part of the story in many ways, because I think before the burnout, I was me, and I like bright colors, and I like being loud. I mean, that is my natural default. But there's a part of me that's a people pleaser, and I want everyone to like me. And so when I was once told that I was Marmite, do you have Marmite in the States?
No.
You know what that is? You know what it is?
I've heard of Marmite, but not really,
Okay.
that familiar.
It's a really British expression that basically, if someone describes you as Marmite, it's not a nice thing. And it's basically this idea that people will either really love you or they'll really not love you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So people either love Marmite or they hate it. In fact, the whole ad campaign is around that concept. Well, when someone says that you're Marmite, that is quite hard to take. But I was lucky to have a mentor at the time. And I went to go and talk to him. And I said, Martin, I've been called Marmite. And he said, so what? So what? And I said, well, I don't like that idea. Why don't you like that idea? Well, because I'm a love junkie. I want everyone to love me. And if people don't, then I'm trying to. And he said, yeah, but you're never, ever going to be vanilla, Monica. You're just never going to be vanilla. You're Marmite. Get over it. And that was the best thing ever. And I think that for me was, so I said, right, Martin, we needed to be doing this mentoring thing a bit more seriously because I've got this terrible story and it's getting in the way. So he was definitely something that pulled me into a much better place. And now here I am. I am wearing black today, but that's only because I've just been running a workshop and I always wear black for those. I am wearing color. I haven't been wearing color. I have a bright yellow Fiat 500 and people hoot. I don't know whether they do that in the States, but here in England, if kids see a yellow car, they bump each other and they slap each other. And I love that brings joy. Oh, and Gary loves Marmite. Good. We need to meet up, Gary, because what's wrong with Marmite? I love Marmite too. It's just not so nice being called Marmite.
We're coming up on our 10 minutes to close out the episode in the next 5 to 10 minutes. So if you have questions for Monica, please jump in. So
Yes.
One of the insights that you had, Monica, is when you were in this place of what contributed to your burnout was this people pleasing, but this idea of really being over invested
Yes.
emotionally in other people. But the counter side of that you were seeing is the withdrawal, that when we turn the dial back too much, now we're getting in the territory of loneliness. And we spent a lot of time at the World Happiness Summit understanding the science of loneliness, and as much as we were understanding the science of happiness.
Yeah.
And it's really led you into thinking differently about your circle of influence being your local community and how you choose to engage. So you want to share a little bit about what you're doing in your local community?
Well, yeah, because there is a loneliness pandemic going on and it's global. And I felt it. And I think you don't really, in the same way, it's very hard to talk about burnout unless you've experienced burnout, which is not the same as stress. It's also very hard to talk about loneliness until you've really felt loneliness. And of course, rational me here on the 10th of February, I'm in rational mode. Of course, I'm not lonely. I've got wonderful friends, some of whom have given up their Tuesday afternoon to be here. I've got a great family. I've got all of that brilliant network around me. But loneliness is not a rational thing. It's something that just you fall into it and then you close your world in more and more and more. And so when I see people just 200 meters away, 2 minutes down the road, really struggling with their loneliness, it's only when you say, I've been there, I know what that's like. And I know that it then creates social anxiety. Me, a supposed extra, I experienced social anxiety. It was that fear of wanting to go out and get out of the house. And I did overcome it quickly because I've got my, it's the work that I do. If I do it on other people, I can do it on myself. And slowly, there are some small wins going on. And
here's one of them. I'm just going to show this real quick. It's going to cover our faces. From Sonia. Monica and Rita, your reflection on kindness and courage mirrors so much of what I've experienced through mentorship with Monica. Having a mentor who leads with kindness has helped me live a more authentic life, one where courage doesn't mean being loud, but being true and being real.
Gorgeous Sonia, who we've been in a mentoring relationship, shall we say. So she's been my mentee. And for about the last, I don't know, Sonia, 3-4 years maybe. And I met her for the first time in person last week. And I would say to anyone listening, if you're feeling that feeling of loneliness, get a mentor. Start with a mentor. Get that sounding board, that person that will tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. And so, yeah, with Sonia, I've been, she'd probably agree with me. I've sometimes been a little bit strong, but it's been strong kindness. And so sometimes just to push her out of her comfort zone. And I would say that's one of the best ways to get yourself out of your box that you're in, is treating other people with that kindness. Kindness doesn't have to be soft. Kindness can be something that just says, stop that story in your head. This is what will make a difference.
So to what extent does the Marmite conversation still rattle around in your head? Is it a story that you still find yourself reflecting on and having to reset yourself, or do you feel like you've actually been able to release yourself from that story? Because I ask because I think so many of us, we do receive some kind of external messaging about who we are.
Yeah.
That really plays into our ability to walk this line of self-expression and finding our place in the world.
Absolutely agree. I think one of the biggest things is playfulness. And I think, whereas when I spoke to Martin and I was in tears and I said, I can't believe someone called me Marmite. Here I am all these years later. I think it's actually really funny. It's funny. So I play with that now. And I have a new mentor that I'm working with at the moment. And I've got people like Sonia and other mentees around me who I've just been really honest about my own ups and downs of life. I'm not going to pretend that I've got this all sorted. And that playfulness comes, I think, from being around the younger generation, being with the older generation, not sticking to people like you of your age, ethnicity, area, and constantly mixing it around. And I think the key is just a bit of levity, a bit of lightness.
Oh, yeah.
So Marmite, the story that was holding me down and saying, Monica, you're too much, you're too loud. Now it's, okay, so I'm Marmite, but I want to wear my big loud earrings and I want to wear bright colors and I will carry on driving around in my bright yellow Fiat 500. And people will think it's a bit much, but you know what? Take it or leave it.
Yes. Gary says it's important to have those small wins. I agree. And then
Totally
from
agree.
Aruna, it's 1 a.m. in Singapore. So thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Aruna.
And so happy that you were able to join us. And we hope that you will share this episode. So this will be out on the podcast platforms on Thursday of this week. So in less than 2 days, and feel free, friends, to share this episode, because it's funny. Monica says that I raise her vibrancy level, and I think Monica raises my vibrancy level. And we just really do enjoy one another's company. So very much. And we feed one another in a really fun way. And so it's fabulous. So Gabby says, don't stop being.
No, Gabby,
authentically you, Monica.
I've got to Zoom with her on Monday. It's just, I think 2026, there is a different vibration. I mean, it's not just me feeling it. A lot of people have said, you can feel it in the air. And Gary said a little comment that we just skipped by, which said, the small wins. Absolutely. The journaling, it's waking up every morning and just writing down those, just whatever's in your head, and just reminding yourself of those little small wins every single day, because we do have them. And I agree with you. American vibrancy, which gave me the ick, is the vibrancy that the world needs right now, because you're just out there so much more than we are over here in Europe. And it's just fabulous. Everything is bigger and wider, and it's wonderful.
Thank you for joining us, Sharon. Thank you for your words. Gary, thank you as well for joining us. You know, I do want to point out that, like with the Marmite conversation, the one little piece of wisdom I want to leave with our listeners today is this. when people say something like that to you, when people are externally sort of trying to put boundaries on your behavior, on how you show up in a space, oftentimes, not oftentimes, always, that has more to do with them than it does with you.
100%.
There's something in them that is resisting. So just as we talked about Monica feeling this resistance, this ick response to the word happiness in the World Happiness Summit, that person has experienced some kind of resistance as it relates to you, but that doesn't make it about you in as much as it makes it about them. So more than likely, the person who made the Marmite conversation has been telling themselves that they have to control how they show up to be acceptable to more people. So they're looking at you like not choosing to play in the world that way, and maybe they're feeling sad that they don't feel the freedom to do that. Or maybe they feel like because they put this limitation on them, you should be putting this limitation on you as well.
Agreed.
And so it's just important to understand that external, it's information that you can do something with, but it doesn't mean that you're required to respond or change because of it. Monica, what parting wisdom would you like to share with everyone today?
Well, there's a lot, isn't there? And I would say, yes, thank you, Aruna. I would say as a parting thing, courage. What is that thing that you know you want to do that has been burning inside of you and you think, I really wish we'll stop talking about it, do it. It's like the 5 frogs on a log. 5 frogs on a log, and one of them says, they decide to jump. And the question is, how many frogs are left on the log? Well, all 5 of them, because deciding you're going to jump off the log is not the same thing as jumping off the log. So what is that one thing that you keep wanting to do? My one is singing in the rock choir. And I'm going on Thursday and I'm taking 3 over 75-year-olds to it. That is how we make it.
I love that. Yes.
Yes. Who've all 3 had a burning desire to also be in the rock choir, and they've just not had the courage. So I would say courage with playfulness.
And I love what Venki adds here, which is catch yourself doing something right. Like, and that is so, I teach this in organizations that I work in as well. This idea of stop waiting for other people outside.
Really?
You can validate yourself. You can, when you're doing that gratitude journal work, pause and think about, what's something good that you've done in the world today, and appreciate yourself for that. You should have gratitude for your own way of being and showing up.
Or kindness, if the word gratitude gives you the ick, because I know that people who feel lonely find the word gratitude gives them the ick.
Yeah. So we don't know who you are, LinkedIn user. Thank you. I'll see you in the comments later, but I'm so glad that we made a positive impact on you today. It is always our intention. Leslie, so happy to have you with us as well. You can find Monica on LinkedIn, and I apologize. My system crashed right before we went live. And so I lost the cue to Monica's LinkedIn to drop it, but I'll drop it in the show notes. So just head over to your favorite podcast platform, and in the show notes, you'll find the link to Monica's website and to her LinkedIn profile. And I encourage you to connect with her there. Come back with us next week. I have a local artist from Louisville, Mo McKnight, who's going to talk about her entrepreneurial journey and overcoming the story of feeling like she didn't belong and creating spaces that now welcome people of all ages and stages, and why that became her mission. And so as Monica, we need to do another one of these, Monica, just to dig on purpose, because you just sort of dropped it in there. Like, I wasn't really clear on my purpose. And so I started working on that. We should have a whole conversation
whole thing
about purpose, about finding your purpose.
And Sonia will want to come back to that one, because that we're on that right now. Thank you, everyone, for showing up today.
Sharon says she's with you in the rock choir. So there you go. Thank you, Nick, for being with us. Everyone, have a wonderful remainder of your week. And don't forget, Thursdays, this episode is out. Please share it with a friend. And Monica, It is such a treasure to be in the room with you. Thank you for saying yes to this conversation.
Honestly,
See you again
Rita, I've been
soon.
grinning all day waiting in anticipation. And
Bye,
I'm off to have my
everyone.
Marmite on toast. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for joining us. If you love this episode, leave us those 5 stars and be sure to share this with a friend. And if you didn't, don't worry about it. See you back here next week.